Shall we start?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you to the orientation program of Industrial Insight. I assume that all of you are undergraduates and members of IPASF. I'm glad to have you on board at this platform. And this was a program designed by your team and me for Industrial Insight to all the undergraduates. We will now quickly go through some kind of presentation where there'll be a brief orientation on what is Industrial Insight, why this program, which are the various departments of the industry, and one by one we will look into these departments. Welcome you all once again. In case you all have any questions or queries, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or raise hand or put it on the chat box. Once again, welcome everyone to this Industrial Insight. I am Forum Gandhi, a Quality Compliance Manager at Srinath Chemicals, as well as Associate Executive Committee Member at FIP IPS, that is Industrial Pharmacy Section. Taking you through the session, as I had described, we will first see why industrial pharmacy or industrial insight. Then I will say some background about myself. Then take you through various departments in this industrial pharmacy. And then if you are interested in these departments of industrial pharmacy, how do you get there? So this is some glance through this session. These are the notes that you will take back home. Starting with why insight of industrial pharmacy, as your organizing committee has very well described, insight of industrial pharmacy, it's the word itself which says we will look into what industrial pharmacy is. Now, why this? Mainly because India is a global hub for pharmaceutical industry. When we talk about pharmaceutical industry, it is not just formulation. That is, it is not just the final packaged medicines that you get on store. Pharmaceutical industry will comprise of all the API manufacturers, all the excipient manufacturers, packing material manufacturers, final finished formulation manufacturer, as well as all the aligned industries. That is packaging industry or labeling industry, service providers, supply chain industry, etc. So all this together will comprise of pharmaceutical industry, and India is a very big hub of it. India being a big hub, all of us, that is all the pharmacy graduates from India, have a lot of global opportunities in these industries. But when we graduate, we barely know about these industries. It's only through some industrial visits that we do that we will know what this industry is or what manufacturing is. So once you graduate, your basic perception of industrial pharmacies, you are either in the production, that is factory site, or in the laboratory, that is testing or R&D. But this industry is way beyond what the conventional job role we imagine, which is why IPASF takes this initiative to give all its members a niche exposure to what real world pharmacy is. As part of that, Industrial Insight is here for your orientation. So as I described, it is a global hub. It has various aspects of industrial pharmacy. It is not a conventional job role that is stuck in our mind. And this region of pharmacy has ample of opportunities. When we designed Industrial Insight, this is our viewpoint. We start with an orientation lecture to brief all of you what industrial pharmacy or various departments are. Then we can take a step ahead to have a mentorship program where every mentee will have a mentor for the guidance or a detailed know-how of these job roles. We can also have an internship program where we give you an opportunity to intern in a specific job role for a limited period of time. We also trying to arrange exchange programs. There are already international exchange programs available, but even locally or nationally, this is a platform, IPASF, which can provide you with exchange programs for your more learning of various industries and their departments. So this is the whole vision of having industrial insight for all our budding pharmacists or members. Coming to today's program, that is the orientation program, I am Forum Gandhi, here to take you through all technical departments of industrial pharmacy. And with me is my colleague, Mr. Rahul Lad, the second speaker, who will take you through all the commercial departments. So pharmacy, when we say industry, is not just technical or on-site or factory side. It also comprises of a lot of marketing and sales and designing and communication, which all will be described by my colleague. Coming to the next, a little introduction of who am I. I'm Forum Gandhi, previously known as Forum Jalundwala. Here is some insight. I joined IPASF MSB in my undergraduate days when I joined BPharm in 2009. I then became a student exchange officer at Maharashtra State Branch, also became regional project officer at Asia Pacific Regional Office of IPASF. 2013 was when I graduated with Bachelor's of Pharmacy from Bombay College of Pharmacy. I also got the opportunity of being secretary at IPASF. I served as a secretary for almost 3 years. Eventually, I became Associate Executive Committee member at FIP-IPS. FIP is International Federation of Pharmaceuticals. It's one of the oldest pharma body all around the world. Industrial pharmacy is a small section of it. FIP also has various other sections like education, community, etc. I'm part of its industrial pharmacy section. I also got the opportunity to become public relation officer as a reception committee member when we, that is IPASF, was hosting World Congress at Hyderabad. In 2015, I graduated with Masters of Pharmacy, specialized in quality assurance from NMIMS University at Mumbai. That was the time after graduation, I took up quality compliance manager at Srinath Chemicals. Srinath Chemicals is a blooming industry having bulk drug manufacturing. We are based at Boisar, that is outskirts of Mumbai. We are into bulk drug manufacturing of calcium, iron, choline salts, amino acids, and vitamins. I hold the role of ensuring entire quality, that is QA/QC regulatory. We are a small scale company and I manage these departments having all the corporate as well as shop floor QA roles. During my role, I also got an editorship of FIP-IPS newsletter in 2016. Moving ahead, 2018 was when I enrolled in a PhD program. So right now, I am a PhD scholar pursuing PhD in pharmaceutical sciences, again from NMIMS University at Mumbai. My project is based in the industry and I started in 2018 and looking forward to finish my PhD very soon. 2019, I started a magazine called Srinath Pharma Magazine and I'm editor of it. So this is some brief background of me as a graduate student as well as an extracurricular or co-membership student. Moving next to various departments in the industry, I will take you through all the technical departments of a pharmaceutical industry. These are just brief departments which we will go through one by one. As we always perceive, when you say industry, the first thing that comes in your mind is a production department. So there is always a production department. To support this production department, we always have a maintenance department. And when we want to produce something, that is make a finished product, we need a stores department which will manage all the store items. So these three are the main perception of any industry. In pharmaceuticals, we also have departments like R&D, which will look into all the research and developments or any continual improvements of the industry or running the manufacturing processes. We have another department like quality assurance. Now, this department is found in very few industries like pharma, food, automobiles, IT, etc., who has a quality assurance department. They are not involved in testing, but they assure everything that is as per required norms or compliance. We also have quality control department. Now, this department, quality control, is involved only in testing of the materials. In our industry, one major department is regulatory affairs. Now, this is kind of exclusive to pharma or food. Regulatory affairs is a department which will look into all kind of submissions and approvals. In pharma, we also have sales and marketing. As mentioned before, it will be continued in the subsequent presentation. We will now go through each of these departments one by one. Starting with production department. As I said, the moment you hear about an industry, the first thing that comes in your mind is a production department. Production department is nothing but shop floor of the manufacturing unit. So any manufacturing unit, the shop floor or the assembly line is the production department. Raw materials that are processed and converted into a final product. Everything, like right from input of the raw material to the process to the final product output. This entire step is known as production department. It also involves packing and labeling of all these products. So when you say or imagine a tablet manufacturing unit, all the ingredients, input, all the processing, that is making granules, mixing, compressing, coating, packing it into blisters, carton packing, labeling, etc. All this process together comes under production department. It involves usage of various equipments and machineries. Equipments would include things like coating machine, a reactor, a blender, sealing machine, packing machine, etc. So all these equipments, these machineries, these activities falls under production department. So if you're a part of a production department, these are the activities you will be involved into. For example, if you are into a tablet manufacturing production, then you will be involved into overlooking its input of raw materials, the steps that is processed, its equipments, its machineries, and then its final output, including packing and labeling. This production department, if you are involved, it requires protective gowning, which is additional to what you regularly perceive like a lab coat, shoe cover, hair cap. It also requires additional protective gowning with respect to all its safety parameters. So if you are into a sterile manufacturing, you require sterile gowning. If you are into powder processing area, then you need all those dusting protective equipments. If you are into a washing or a coating area, you require such kind of footwears, etc. So there's always an additional protective gowning required with respect to production department. So any person interested in production department will be looking into these activities. Coming to the next department, that is maintenance. Maintenance is a department which looks after maintaining or wear and tear of every equipment and instrument. Now this includes all the equipments used in production or instruments used in QC lab. When you say maintenance, you should have the knowledge of all its breakdowns required or how to correct those breakdowns, its preventive maintenances, its calibration of all the measuring equipment. For example, if you are into a maintenance department having a reactor, the reactor will have valves whose oiling and greasing is important. So these things should be part of your preventive maintenance, that you have a sound knowledge how much oiling is required, what is the frequency. So it will avoid any breakdown. Now, these reactors will also have any measuring equipment. For example, it will measure the RPM of the stirrer, or it will measure the temperature inside the reactor. So when these measuring equipments are involved, even its calibrations come under maintenance department. So you being a part of maintenance department will be looking into preventive as well as calibrations. But in case there is any breakdown, for example, nut bolt was corrupt and it broke down, the valve opened, or any other thing like there was a stirrer breakdown. So these breakdowns need to be corrected as soon as possible because they are unplanned. So your production will be stopped. So such breakdown correction is also under maintenance. When we talk about these production and maintenance department, what knowledge you need to have is production, you need to have the knowledge of the process. So if you're into an API industry, you might have chemical engineers with you. If you're into a formulation industry, it's most of the pharmacists who look into formulation. Whereas in maintenance, we have a lot of engineering people compared to pharmacists. Even in pharmacists, if you specialize with pharmaceutical engineering, then you can get into a good maintenance department. Also, a noted fact is India having a lot of small scale industries, including the API manufacturer and formulation manufacturer. Many departments have like a mixed role of production and maintenance. They do not have an exclusive or a big maintenance department. So production and maintenance kind of go hand in hand because both are looking at the same space as well as same equipments and machinery. Moving to the next, stores and R&D. As mentioned before, stores is a lot of backbone of the production department. If there are no raw materials available, the production department cannot process this. If the finished product is not moving out of the premises or dispatch, the production department will have a lot of space management issue. So stores is a very core department. Also, stores is such a department which looks into a lot of financial handling. If they procure a lot of raw material which are not required, they are investing a lot of money. Same way, if they produce a lot of finished products or plan a lot of batches which are not going to be dispatched, they are holding a lot of money. So every management, that is top management or commercial point of view, also has a lot of interest in how the stores is running. So stores involves raw material, packing material, and finished product inventory. It involves the supply chain maintenance. It also involves storage conditions should be compliant. If the storage conditions are not compliant, the material will not be of good quality and hence production will also be affected. So stores are the department who has responsibility right from finances to quality to all the inventory management, that is time management. Again, there are a lot of commercial people in stores as well as technical people in stores. It's not only that pharmacy degree leads you to a stores department. Also, very popular supply chain certificate programs are available for stores management. Coming to the next department, R&D department. Now, again, this is a heart of every industry. The more research and development you do, the more continual improvements you will get. The more improvements you get, the more progress or sustainabilities of your industry. R&D, as we normally perceive, is a new drug molecule. But no, India is not a new drug molecule hub. It's a hub of all generics. We all know that. So R&D involves more of analytical method development, formulation development, as well as synthesis of drug, and very less percentage of R&D in India is into new drug molecules. When I say synthesis of drug, it is manufacturing the same API in a various synthetic processes. So every industry is trying to move all its conventional process or drug synthesis processes towards a green synthesis that is environment friendly, or something known as operational excellence or manufacturing excellence. So there's a lot of research work on how you manufacture or synthesize the drug. Maybe the drug molecule is old enough, but there are newer processes to synthesize it. There are a lot of research and formulation development. This is a very standard way of converting branded to generic. So every patent that is getting over, we are the hub to have its generic version. So formulation development is also a booming R&D department. We also have a lot of analytical method development. So all of these APIs or formulations need to be tested. Every formulation or API is not mentioned in pharmacopoeias. So you do not have an official or standard analytical method. For such things, a lot of R&D is done to have accurate instrument-based analytical methods. So these are developed and validated. They do make precautions or have an aim to have these testing methods as accurate as possible as well as quick as possible. They do not want to wait for like 24 hours or hours and hours to have a final result and then release or pass the batch. So these are stores and R&D department where you need a lot of skills. This is not just pharma degree specific, but you have people from various backgrounds. Coming to the next, quality assurance and quality control. Quality assurance is a department which assures quality. It is not into testing, it is not into manufacturing, it is not into any control of quality. It just assures that everything was in place, everything was as per plan, and that is why it is a quality product. So it assures the quality of the finished product. It involves monitoring the quality of product right from the purchase of raw material. So quality assurance department is also involved in purchasing of the raw material. From where was that raw material purchased? They assure that the raw material is of good quality. So they have those vendors from whom you purchase as qualified vendors. They qualify those vendors, and only from such good qualified vendors a company can procure the raw material. So your input itself is a good quality, and that is why you expect a good quality output. QA department is the department which controls all the documents and records in the manufacturing premises. So you must have heard a lot of data integrity issues or some batch manufacturing records or audit compliance documents, etc. All these documents falls under quality assurance department. So this is the department which is involved in its control, its issuance, its drafting, etc. Now, you've also heard of industries being USFDA approved, EU approved, that is Europe approved, Japan approved, etc. So every country has its own approval for the manufacturing unit. If you are a USFDA approved company, only then you can market or sell your product to US market or for US drug. So these are regulatory bodies having all the regulatory guidelines. For example, CDSCO is the Indian regulatory body. Now, Indian regulatory body has a Drugs and Cosmetics Act, out of which Schedule M is the Good Manufacturing Practice Act for any drug manufacturer. Now, when you follow these guidelines would involve what are the premises required, what are the kind of people, what kind of training is required, what kind of documents are to be maintained, what records, etc. Everything is described in the Schedule M. Now, this department is responsible to comply to these regulatory guidelines. Apart from this role, quality assurance also plays a major role of release of the batch. What happens is, whatever process or product is manufactured by the production department, it is tested by the QC department. But QA department will assure that everybody did their job roles as required. After the assurance, it will certify the batch to be released. Only when the QA releases the batch, it can go out in the market. So anything that you see in your store is released by QA. So in case there is a mislabeling, misbranding, or a spurious drug in the market and the batch is recalled, it was the responsibility or non-compliance by the QA department of that company. So QA holds a very important role for the quality of the product and the running of the industry. Coming to the next department, quality control. As I had described, QA and QC are different departments. Do not confuse it with both the quality. QA just assures quality by monitoring, whereas QC tests the quality. QC will test quality of raw material, packing material, and finished products. It will also have chemical testing, microbial testing, instrument analysis as part of its testing. So there are a lot of chemical testing like TLC, titrations, UV cabinets, etc., which they will be using. They will also do a lot of microbial testing of products. If your product is a sterile product, they will be testing for microbes. They use a lot of instrumental analysis like HPLC, GC, FTIR for identification purity purposes. So all these tests or all such departments come under quality control. Another important part of quality control is stability studies and impurity profile. Now, the tests which I mentioned before are those which are done on regular basis, that is batch to batch base. But studies like stability studies and impurity profiling are done once, like during its R&D phase or first phases of commercial batches. So these things also fall under QC department. QC is the department which issues certificate of analysis, that is COA. So this is one major difference between QA and QC, that QA releases the batch, whereas QC gives certificate of analysis to the batch. And when we look back, production is the department which will have a batch manufacturing record. So these are a few main part of running a manufacturing unit. Coming to the last department of the technical side under discussion today is the regulatory affairs. We've heard this a lot, that RA or regulatory affairs has a lot of scope once you graduate, and there are a lot of people getting job roles into these departments. Now, what is this department? It is not seated in the manufacturing unit. Rest all departments are part of the manufacturing or factory site. Regulatory affairs is more into an office-based work. So you have a desk, you have your computer, and it is involved only in documentation profiles. So if you are getting an approval to some license or some certificate in a different regulatory body, or even if you are applying for any new approvals to your Indian regulatory body, you're supposed to submit your application. Application requires a lot of supporting documents. So all this submission, application, and all these supporting documents, which are nothing but technical documents, are made, like drafted by regulatory affairs. So if you are applying for a license, you need to provide which products, their technical know-hows, the equipments placed there, the site layouts, the processes, its specifications, its testing methods. All these compiled together is also known as a tech pack, technological package. So these tech pack documents are all prepared by regulatory affairs. So what are they supposed to do is obtain knowledge from various departments, especially the R&D if it's a new approval. What kind of material have you used? What are the testing methods? What is the packing material? What is the storage condition? All these information they grab from other departments, compile it as per a template required for that regulatory application, and make those documents. Now, these documents are then submitted for their approvals. So this is the role of regulatory affairs. This completes all the technical side of an industry. As mentioned before, the commercial part of the industry will be taken by the next speaker. Moving to the skills and opportunities that you can find in this technical side of industry, I would like to brief you all with the skills that you required. Since you are undergraduates or a very base level of your career, there are a lot of skills you can develop right from now. You need to have technical knowledge for any department that you want to get in. All are not obtained on your BPharm or PharmD graduation certificates. So what you need to know is develop some technical knowledge specific to that department, maybe from your syllabus, or there are various certification courses available. A lot of them available for supply chains and regulatory affairs. So if you are interested in a particular department, you can try for those certification programs as well. When you work in an industry, you need soft skills because every department is interlinked. You need to have a lot of communication with your other department colleagues, upward direction or downward. So these soft skills of interacting with those other departments are very required. You need writing skills because you need to record data if you're on shop floor, or you need to draft documents if you're into some departments like QA or regulatory. So those drafting skills or technical writing skills are good if you develop at this level. Even if you enter a department like R&D, you need to have those drafting skills because you will have to have your publications done. So drafting or technical writing or scientific writing is also an important skill. You need to have good reading or interpretation skills, because every department on the technical side follows a guideline, and the guidelines are always generalized. Reading between those fine lines or understanding or interpreting those guidelines is a good skill if you want to excel in these departments. So these are some major skills I would like to advise you to sharpen. Moving to the opportunities, I would say if you want to explore more of this technical side, you need to interact more and more with industrial pharmacists. I, being from a small scale, will have a different perception of various departments. Somebody from a MNC will have a different perception. Somebody from shop floor will have a different perception, whereas somebody from QA will have a different perception. So interacting with all these industrial pharmacists from our generation to older generation will always help. Having a mentor will again help, because that will be something very specific to your interest on exploring various opportunities or grabbing different kind of internships. Going next is joining an internship program. If you are interested for any kind of exposures, like if you are interested in R&D or a manufacturing unit, you can try for internship program for a month or 3 months to just learn how a project works or how an industry works. You can participate in exchange program. When you go in exchange program, you will understand more of cultural difference. Even interstate, we have a lot of cultural difference, work style difference. So that is an additional to what an internship can provide you. So these are some of the opportunities you can grab, keeping IPASF as your platform to explore more and more of industrial pharmacy and more opportunities in your career. Thank you everyone for your time. Here are my contact details. You may contact me anytime for more information if you require. I'll be glad to help you. Thank you, and we welcome the next speaker for the day, Mr. Rahul.
Yeah, thanks, Forum. I think it was a very comprehensive presentation covering all the aspects of the pharmaceutical industry. Once again, thanks to IPSF for inviting me for today's session and allowing me to share my thoughts. So friends, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just share my experience, what I have of close to 9 years in the industry across various roles in the pharmaceutical industry, both MNC as well as Indian MNC. So after, Forum mentioned about the manufacturing, the R&D and the hard work that happens on the shop floor with various departments being involved, there comes our role, which is converting those finished goods into cash, because I think that's the basis where the industry runs, right? So I'll be talking about sales as well as marketing. And there's a brief introduction about me. So currently I'm associated with Glenmark Pharmaceuticals as a senior product manager. And prior to that, I'm a B.Pharm and an executive MBA from NMIMS. And these are my past affiliations with IPA, up from president to treasurer, student exchange officer, contact person, associate general secretary, and joint general secretary. And of course, these are few awards, and I've got 2 publications to my name in international journal. So I started my career as a medical rep only in the GlaxoSmithKline. And the logo that you can see now is the revised logo, which I'm sure those who all are LinkedIn would have observed the recent change in the logo of GSK. Moved up the ladder as an area business manager, then in the product management department. And then I moved to Glenmark, a product manager, as well as a senior product manager currently. So that's brief about me. Let's get into the topic. But before getting into the topic, what is important for us to understand is why is India such an important market? We always talk about that India is a very important market when it comes to pharmaceuticals. So here are certain statistics to back up this particular statement that the current pharmaceutical market is close to 1,20,000 plus odd crores. And we have a lot of diversity with so many states, so many languages, a huge area, second largest by population. But apart from that, what is important for us is to note the statistics which are related to pharmacy. So we have close to 800,000 plus pharmacy retail stores. That means these are the chemist shops which are there available in our country. There are more than 23,000 plus pharmaceutical distributors. And when I say distributors, these are nothing but the wholesalers or the stockists which actually supply the goods to the chemist. We have got close to 14,000 plus recognized hospitals, 73,000 plus brand packs. We all know that we have a lot of generic products available in the market. But apart from generic products, also we have got 73,000 plus registered brand packs and close to 40,000 plus brands. And actually, to support this healthcare infrastructure, we just have got 9.36 lakh HCPs, that is healthcare practitioners. Out of which, if we have to look at the urban and the rural ratio of the doctor to patient, so for every 2,000 patients, there is just one doctor in the urban area, whereas in rural, it is just one doctor per 20,000. So this itself tells us the opportunity that is available for the Indian pharmaceutical market and for all of us to grow and do well. So these are various markets being categorized. And as the statement says that, yes, the market trends towards greater consolidation. So currently, India is at level 2, which is an emerging market. And as you can see, Brazil, China, Russia, they are kind of rapidly emerging, whereas Australia, Poland are developed. And when we talk about the US, UK, and France, they are hyper-developed markets. These are categorized based on their chain retail share, which is available. So getting straight away into the topic, this question is, been asked by many people to me, or maybe the understanding is such that marketing and sales, is it the same or is it something different? So I just have few pointers to highlight that sales and marketing is actually different. It's not the same thing. So when we talk about strategy, okay, when we talk about a salesman, a salesperson would look at is pushing the product, whatever the product is assigned. The job of a salesman is to sell that product, to push that product to the customer. In our case, the customer is an influencer, which is nothing but a doctor. But when it comes to marketing, it's not about push. It is more from pull. So for a marketer, the strategy is to pull customer towards the organization and towards the brand which he or she is actually selling in this particular market. When we talk about brand reputation, of course, salesmen, they go in and out in the field. They meet our customers. So they are the face of the company because the customers know that particular person when it comes to any problems or any issues that needs to be resolved or any services that are required. That time, the salesperson is the face of the company. Whereas a marketer is basically he sees the brand as a unique position for that particular company. And the responsibility of the marketer is to actually build that particular brand reputation, enhance that brand reputation, which is existing. And when we talk about product, a salesperson is very clear. This is my product. I need to get this particular product moving. I need to get people buying this particular product. But for a marketer, the thought process is completely different. Apart from that one product, a marketer looks at, I need to have a range of my products so that I can meet all my customer needs. In case there is any gap which is available, I need to bridge that gap. So marketer is actually a think tank, and it's more from a strategic perspective. And when we talk about sales role, it is more from an execution perspective. So when we talk about selling, we'll go one by one. So in pharmaceuticals, it is very simple as selling a brand to a doctor, maybe a specialty of a doctor in a given territory, and managing the demand cycle. So for example, if I am a medical representative working in Bangalore, and the products which I have are basically belonging to the category of dermatology, my responsibility is to ensure that I sell those products with scientific communication to the doctors who are the influencers, and ultimately the patients will be the buyers in the assigned territory to me. And not only that, I also need to ensure that I manage the demand cycle. So after the doctor starts prescribing, I need to ensure that my products are available in the chemist. And if the product needs to be available in the chemist, in the first place, the product needs to be available at the stockist or the wholesaler which is there. So that for that, the entire supply chain which is there, that part is being managed by your sales personnel. So here the salesperson not only sells, but the type of selling in pharmaceuticals is completely different from selling that happens in other industries, maybe electronics or FMCG. Because here, what we are doing is we are doing a patient-focused selling. We are trying to convince a doctor that how can my product be beneficial to your patients as compared to other products or other brands which are there in the market. So it all revolves around the patient which is there. It's all about conversion and consolidation. Now, these may be new terms to you, but for example, as I mentioned, that the job of a sales representative or a medical representative is to actually make the doctor prescribe his or her brand. So if the doctor is not prescribing, then the sales rep need to convert that doctor. So that is the role of conversion. The second piece is consolidation. So if a doctor is already prescribing and the doctor is maybe prescribing 5 units of my brand, how can I get the doctor to prescribe 10 units, 15 units, 50 units, and 100 units? So increasing that, or in other words, increasing the P by D, which is the productivity per doctor, is the role of a medical representative. Increasing the market share. Let me give you a very simple example. I'm sure during COVID, we all saw that a lot of paracetamol got sold in the market. So there are hundreds and thousands of brands which are available for paracetamol. So how do I ensure that in my given territory, my brand, which is assigned to me, sells the maximum? That tells me that my market share is better as compared to my competitor market share. So that is the responsibility of a medical representative in the assigned territory. Not only this, there are a lot of beyond the pill initiatives or beyond the pill things that a medical rep has to do. A medical rep or the sales professional has to proactively provide the appropriate information with respect to the brand. So for example, if a new formulation comes in or a new drug is launched into the market, the sales personnel are the first point of contact for any doctor to get information related to that brand. So it is important for the medical representative to have a complete understanding of the brand, the science behind that particular molecule and the brand, so that they can appropriately provide that particular information. They have to play a vital role in partner effective management. They need to ensure that how can I differentiate from the competitor. So of course, the marketing will give you a strategy to differentiate. But apart from that, from a generic market, how can you differentiate with the help of your communication skills or your way of approaching the customer? You need to provide customer value for money by various other initiatives, like maybe a patient education initiative or patient support programs. And how can you actually build rapport to partner with the family healthcare? Because ultimately, pharmacy itself is a part of the healthcare profession, right? So we need to partner along with the doctors so that we can build a proper healthcare value system for the patients or for the people around us. And of course, how can we increase the customer inclination and loyalty to our brand? So to summarize, it's all about, patient connect, doctor connect, value chain. How can I build that particular value chain? And in today's era, what is more important is the digital connect. So this is how a typical pharmaceutical distribution channel works like. So from the pharma companies have got a hub of storing that particular brands or products that they have, and they are called as CFAs. Now, CFAs, the full form is carrying and forwarding agents. So CFAs can be owned by the pharma companies, or sometimes they are outsourced to super stockists. So CFAs have a simple responsibility. Whatever brand has been manufactured, all that particular manufactured material is being bought by these CFAs. Now, further, these CFAs distribute this material to the distributors or the wholesalers or stockist. And this is called as the primary sales. So the sales which happens from the CFAs to the stockist is called as the primary sales. Now, the responsibility of this distributor is to ensure that these products reach the retailers. That is our normal pharmacies or the chemist shop which are there, the trade pharmacies. It also reaches the hospital. In case if the doctor is involved into a dispensing practice, then in that case, the distributor also needs to ensure that it reaches the dispensing doctor. In some cases, there are sub-stockists also which are there. So distributor can further give it to sub-stockists. So the second piece from the distributor down the line is called as the secondary sales. And here the retailer has got a margin close to 16 to 20%. And finally, the patient who is actually going to consume this brand, the product reaches there. So what was the purpose of sharing this with you? As I mentioned, that a medical representative or a sales professional job is to ensure that the product is available at the right time, at the right place. So hence the medical representative also needs to ensure that the products are available at the distributor, the billing is happening appropriately, they are further distributed to retailers, hospitals, dispensing doctors, and ultimately to the patients. So this entire supply chain piece is managed by a sales professional. So let's talk about the basic competency framework of a medical representative. So I've divided into two pieces, what and how. So what scientific knowledge does a medical representative need? So as I mentioned at the start also, that he's the first point of contact or maybe the face of the organization or the ambassador of the organization in the doctor's clinic. And hence, he or she should have that comprehensive knowledge that provides value to the customer and also builds trust. And how can he do that? He can do that by having a proper brand strategy in place, having a good product as well as competitor knowledge, because then and then only the medical representative will be able to differentiate between our brand and the competitor brand. Having a thorough understanding of the disease and pathology knowledge. So if I'm selling a derma product, I need to have a good understanding of skin and other diseases. If I'm selling a GI product, I need to understand what are the different diseases and how does my product fit in that particular therapy area. And of course, a patient journey and insights. So what happens when a patient is suffering from a headache? Does he directly go to a neurosurgeon? No. The patient might first try some home remedies. If not resolved, the patient might then go to chemist. If not resolved, may approach a general practitioner. If not resolved, may further go to a physician. So this entire journey mapping is also important so that he can position his brand well. Business planning. A medical representative is known as the CEO of his own territory, whatever territory has been assigned. So he needs to ensure has a proper business planning in place by having proper customer as well as patient insights to develop a business plan. He needs to know what are the likings and disliking of my customer. What is the preference of my customer? Does my customer prefer a ibuprofen for a pain or he prefers a diclofenac for a pain? So all this understanding a medical representative needs to have. So he can have by having good customer and marketplace insights, by having a proper business plan in place, and also implementing and tracking whatever activities or the tactical plans that he's executing. Selling skills, the most important piece. I believe that every individual is in the job of selling. If you're going for an interview, you're doing nothing but trying to sell yourself to the organization, right? And hence selling is something which is very, very important. Everyone needs to master in that, irrespective of the role that you are in. So of course, he needs to utilize the integrated approach to move the customers along the customer journey. So initially, if the customer is a non-prescriber, how can he convert that customer and move into a prescriber, to a loyal prescriber? So this he can do by having a patient-focused selling, by understanding the patient journey, multi-channel selling, not only selling by the regular route of visiting the doctors in clinic, but also trying the route of digital selling. And of course, having certain collaborative relationships with the chemist and other healthcare practitioners. So what are the basic skills a salesperson needs to have? As I mentioned, selling skills is something very, very important. Communication skills, because this job is of communication. You need to communicate the benefits, the features as well as benefits of your brand that has to offer to the doctor and to the patients. And hence communication plays a very, very important role. Interpersonal skills. Look at the entire value chain. You are interacting with a stockist, you are interacting with a chemist, you are interacting with the doctor, you are also interacting with patients in some cases. You are also interacting with that attendant who is sitting outside the doctor's clinic and allowing you inside. If you have got good interpersonal skills, you'll be able to manage the entire process well, and you'll be a successful salesman. Stakeholder management is, of course, on the similar line what I mentioned. Negotiation skills. This is also very important, because many times when you go and ask for orders to your stockist, they might say, no, I have enough stocks. But then, you need to negotiate and ensure that your orders are being placed and you are able to meet your budgets. Analytical skills. When I talk about analytical skills, this is more from a business perspective and not from a chemistry perspective. This is from understanding the sales data. What was my sales previous month? What was my sales last year, previous month, and this month? How is the trend moving? What is the primary sale? What is the secondary sales? And what is my market share in the assigned territory to me? So I think analytical skills are very important, because that is the guiding force, and that will help you develop a strong business plan ahead. Well, patience is something which is very, very critical, because I'm sure you also would have visited a doctor's clinic and you might have seen medical representatives waiting outside. So it's not an easy job for a medical rep to get into the doctor's clinic and do the call, or whatever science I mentioned right now, to perform that in clinic. It's a job of patience. And it's not easy that once you visit a doctor, the doctor will immediately start prescribing for you, right? It will take multiple efforts, multiple visits. It will take some patience for you to wait and then check whether the doctor is prescribing or not. So patience is something which is very critical. If I have to talk about sales hierarchy, it starts with a medical rep position, moving ahead as an area business manager, wherein an area business manager manages around like 5 to 6 medical reps on an average. So for example, if I'm working in Mumbai, so the geography that will be assigned will be maybe the Western Mumbai or the Southern Mumbai, or maybe the Navi Mumbai area. If I have to talk about South, if I'm being given Coimbatore as a territory, then apart from Coimbatore, I'll also manage the rep which is based out at Erode and some in and around territories. Then moving up to the regional business manager or the zonal sales manager. So here the regional business manager or the zonal manager manages an entire state or multiple states. And then moving ahead is the general manager or the business head, or in some companies also known as the national sales manager, which is an head office based job. Moving up to the general manager, you have the vice president level, which manages multiple businesses and multiple teams. And of course, we have the president, which is the entire head of the organization. Salary structure. I think many people would be interested to know that what would be the amount that I would take home if I join as a medical rep. So for a medical rep, the salaries are described or bifurcated into 3 components. One is the fixed salary that you get. The other one is the incentive if you perform above 100%, and the daily allowance which is there. So daily allowance is not your salary, but this is the money that you get to for the expenses that you do on a daily basis for visiting certain doctors. So if I have to talk about fixed salary at an initial level, you may get close to 15 to 20,000, comes to 2.5 to 3 lakhs per annum. And the incentive opportunity is totally in your hands, how well you do in sales. So you have an incentive opportunity of 2 lakh per annum. So that makes the entire package of close to 4.5 to 5 lakhs. And DA is around like 200 per day. So DA I'm considered as an expense. I would not consider as a part of our salary. So if I have to talk about a fixed salary, then it would be close to 2.5 to 3 lakhs. Good organizations like the multinational companies can also offer you around close to 4.5 lakh at the initial level. Competition. So who is the competition when you're a medical rep? Of course, other companies. But as pharmacists, also remember one thing, that you might get demotivated when you go on field. You might start thinking that what kind of a job I'm doing, because when you see people around, you might see yourself competing with maybe BScs, MScs, BCom, MCom, or in some cases also MAs or BAs, right? So don't get demotivated by that. Just remember one thing and take it in a positive spirit, that those people cannot acquire your scientific knowledge. Those people cannot acquire the knowledge that you have learned in these 4 years of your B Pharm or maybe 6 years of your PharmD course. But what advantage you have is that you can acquire their learning skills. You can learn the selling skills from a BSc guy and MSc guy if they master into. So you are always at a +1 or an maybe a edge, a competitive edge that you have is your B Pharm degree or a PharmD degree and the scientific knowledge that you possess. Moving ahead to marketing quickly. So if people are active, I would just request them to post in the chat box. I will just showcase some logos, and if you can tell me what is the name of that organization. And trust me, these are very simple ones. Can I have a few responses in the chat box? Okay. It's a Benz, only one person is active. Okay. Yeah, so you're right. That's basically Mercedes, right? Moving ahead to the next logo. That's right. That's Volkswagen. Third one is pretty simple. Right, Apple. I could see quicker responses for Apple. Maybe people are not quite fond of automobiles. Okay. Yeah, the simplest of all. That's the Facebook. And the next one. That's correct. It's LinkedIn, right? So I did not mention the names anywhere, right? Yet you were able to identify the organization just on the basis of logo. So that's the brand image, or that's the power of the brand that is created in your mind. And if I have to take a pharma example, I'll be very proud to share one example, of our own organization. I'm sure this is a very well known brand in the pharmaceutical market, and you can see it around every retailer. So there's generics and there is brand. You can see lot many clotrimazole dusting powders also. And then there comes Candid, which is the market leader in the entire category. So today also, if any person goes to a chemist shop, maybe for a fungal infection or any kind of a rash, he would quickly go to the chemist and tell, boss, give me a Candid powder, right? So that is the image that has been created in the customer's mind. And this is nothing but marketing. The way this product has been marketed so well in these many years, it has created a long-lasting impact on the customer's mind. Even if the doctor is not prescribing, yet the patients are now going and approaching and asking for a Candid dusting powder rather than asking him for a clotrimazole dusting powder. In many cases, people don't even know that Candid contains clotrimazole. But yet they know that in case I have a fungal rash in this particular monsoon or maybe in summers, I would approach a chemist and ask for a Candid dusting powder. And that is the role of a marketer. How can you create brands? How can you create that long-lasting impact on the customer's mind, on the influencer's mind, that it becomes a big brand? So yes, marketing is all about building great brands, what is visible and what is obvious. So what are these brands? These brand challenge, they inspire you. If you observe few brands like Thumbs Up, what does it say? Taste the thunder. It challenges you. Few brands touch you. Maybe an ad of a Savlon or maybe a Band-Aid, which has got or maybe a brand which is related to baby care. It touches you. Few brands create panic, like an SOS situation, maybe a fire extinguisher. Few brands may be related to a bridal, make you cry. Few brands make you laugh, right? So what is the role of a brand? The role of a brand is nothing but to evoke an action into you. So there's a difference between a product and a brand. When a product has been manufactured, it comes in a raw form. What is the job of a marketer? The job of a marketer is to convert that product into a brand. Because a product does not have a distinct place in the customer's mind, but a brand has got a very unique place in the customer's mind. It has got a distinctive and a differentiated product advantage in the customer's mind. When you talk about a generic product, it is like very tactical and inconsistent. If there's an opportunity, there would be a tactic which would be seen. But for a brand, there's a proactive and consistent efforts that go in. If you see the advertisement of V-Wash or Candid Powder or Johnson Johnson, it has been consistent throughout years, right? So for a brand, a proactive and consistent effort is required. So of course, since the product is not consistent, it will be short-lived, but a brand endures over time and tends to deliver superior profits and growth for the organization. So what are the skills a marketer need to have? A marketer needs to have good data analysis, because basis that data analysis, he or she will be able to prepare a brand plan, understand the issues, and devise strategies. Creativity is very, very important. How creatively can you communicate the benefits and features of your brand to your customers is something very important. Presentation skills, because here it involves a lot of presentations, medical marketing presentations to internal customers as well as external customers. Interpersonal skills and stakeholder management. This holds true for a marketer also, because you are interacting with both the customers, the internal customers that are your medical reps, other departments, your purchase team, your procurement team, your digital team, your finance team, right? As well as the medical and the sales team. You need to have a strategic thinking, because you just cannot sell a product without a proper strategy in place. You need to be good in oral and written communication. You need to have the agility. If there is some change, there is some update, there is how quickly can you actually adapt to it and create a strong strategy for your brand. Of course, the drive and ambition is certainly what differentiates a good marketer from an average one. So when we talk about hierarchy in marketing, it starts with the product executives in few organizations, moving up the ladder as an assistant product manager, group product, senior product manager, group product manager, and a marketing manager. Whereas in few MNCs, we have directly product manager and a group product manager and marketing manager. Whereas in Indian companies, we have, the other designations also prevailing. How about the salary structure? Now, this may vary based on the number of years of experience, but if I have to say, you can start with close to 4 to 5 lakhs per annum, and then moving ahead, it's beyond 25 lakhs also in the product management team itself. And of course, marketers also have got incentives if they do well for their brand, which ranges from 2 to 5 lakhs per annum, apart from other perks which a marketer gets. So is there a way? I said that, sales and marketing are different, but what is also important to understand is that sales and marketing are interlinked also, right? They go hand in hand. So is there a possibility that if I started with sales, can I go to marketing? Or if I started with marketing, can I go to sales? Or if I can join those two together? Yes, that's very much possible. So for example, I'll just portray the both sales and marketing hierarchy here. So if I started as a medical rep, I moved up as an area manager, and then moving up as a regional business manager, I can then move into the product management team also. And vice versa. If I started as a product manager, I can also take up a responsibility of being a zonal sales manager, handling certain sales responsibility for a couple of years, and then moving up as a marketing manager. Both the regional business manager, zonal business managers, and the marketing manager have an opportunity to lead the entire sales function by being a business head or a general manager. And of course, then the journey continues of being a vice president and the president. So yes, that shift from sales to marketing and marketing to sales is possible, because both the roles are dependent on each other and are very much eventful. So my final message to all of you is that whatever role or whatever job or whatever function you choose, what is important is you need to have the awareness of that particular role, have proper knowledge, and go by your choice, and choice which fits your job. So first, important for you is to understand what are your interests. What do you aim to be? If my interest lies in R&D, I should not be thinking of sales and marketing. What I aim to be? Do I aim to be a president of the organization? If yes, whether an R&D role or a manufacturing role or a sales and marketing role, which role will actually lead me to the president of that particular organization? What are the career options available? It's not just one. There are many career options which are available. People from sales and marketing have also moved to the strategy team. People from sales and marketing have also moved to the digital team, to the data analysis team, or the business intelligence team. So there are various opportunities which are available. So you need to understand what is the width of the profile that I'm going to choose. And what does it take? What are the qualifications required? What are the skill sets that are required? And what are the competencies which are required for this? Know yourself well, assess yourself in an unbiased manner, know your strengths, weakness, plot a SWOT for yourself, understand what are your strengths, understand what are your weakness or your areas of improvement, and start working on it. What are your skills, comfort zones, and challenging zones? And how do you prepare to choose and build a career? And I think the graduation days are very, very critical, because that's the time wherein you develop interest. And as you move from third year to final year, you try and understand the industry more in detail, attend many more forums or sessions like this, and try and understand your interest areas. Try to learn what are the opportunities available, and I'm sure you'll be out with flying colors. And always keep yourself updated, whichever platform which you want to use, whether it's a LinkedIn, whether ET Health World, or the FIP forums, or the IPA platforms, or the Pharma Times, or the IJPS, which is available. But always keep yourself updated, because that is really helpful, and you will have a competitive or a cutting edge as compared to rest of the people competing with you. So that's it from my side. If there are any questions, would be happy to take them. Thank you. Yeah, so over to you, Forum and Yogendra.
Thank you, Rahul. This was a very good insight to complete the industrial insight with technical and commercial part. I hope all the participants are now aware of what industrial pharmacy is, and we will be glad, both Rahul and I, to have any questions to be answered right away, or you can write to us through emails or chats or LinkedIn messages. Over to you.
I think there was a message in the chat box, Forum, for you. A question rather. I'm just posting that question once again.
Okay, I can see that message. It's from Samba. So I would like to say that pharmacy, like on floor manufacturing, there is a lot of automation. But remember one thing, automation happens, but you still require manpower to observe, to monitor it. So only automation or robotics is not going to give you medicines. There is going to be still a lot of manual skill sets or supervisions required. So if you compare, conventional is what you do by yourself, but when there is automation, you have to observe what is being done. You cannot leave it to them. So do not worry about your security or future. You just have to remember one thing, that you have to be updated with technology. You have to be technology lover. Example, there were messages sent initially through letters, then through pagers, then through SMSs, and now it's very handy. So technology updates, it does not mean that there is no post services anymore. There are no letters to be issued. There are no speed post service going on. That will remain. Automation will also remain. You have to update yourself. So your opportunities will never go in any field, any department, unless and until you don't keep yourself updated. But yes, with any technology, there is advancement, and you have to accept it.
Just to add on to it, I think when we talk about e-pharmacies, you can see a lot of e-pharmacies which are coming up these days. But don't forget that role of a pharmacist is not just to dispense medications. The role of a pharmacist is also a bit more on terms of patient counseling, and that cannot be actually taken by a technology or a chatbot or which is there. And that human touch is very essential. So how can you differentiate, in case if you are coming up with your own pharmacy, how can you differentiate your pharmacy with other drugstores with the value-added services? Like, for example, if there's a DOTS regime, right? So you need to ensure that the patient follows that particular DOT regime, and you can dispense the DOT regime to that particular patient. You can call that particular patient on a timely basis to dispense those medications. So other value added services also, which maybe technology cannot replace or a digital medium cannot replace. So of course humans are essential and will continue to remain so.
Remember one thing, that we are healthcare professionals. We have to build up our niche levels. No technology or no other profession can beat it. It's our knowledge which will always help the patients. Even if you go to doctors, they have a different knowledge compared to what a pharmacist have. It's our responsibility to upscale or upgrade our profession. We have to put value to it. We have to leverage the knowledge we gain in our education systems and then use it for any healthcare services. Any other questions? Over to you, Yogendra.
Okay, thank you, Forum and Rahul, for taking out of your busy schedule. I think you must be pretty slumped with all the work. We were planning this from a couple of weeks. Finally, we did it. And for sure, next time we'll just take the feedback from this and we'll come up with more comprehensive. And coming to my end, so I'm like a person who don't know about really industry and all, because I'm from a pharmacy background. So this is like a really good session for me. So personally, I learned a lot in terms of industry. So thank you once again, Forum and Rahul. Looking forward to other sessions with you.
Thank you, everyone. And feel free to write to us or connect.